Hello, this is Tazalon, and I am here in my VK2801 in Sand River Assault Defense for the Lighthouse tutorial on scout roles, arty hunting. Napoleon Bonaparte once stated that God fights on the side with the best artillery, and it's one of your roles as a scout to make sure that God fights on your side. That means some games you're going to have to protect your arty, and in other games, you're going to have to go out and find and destroy the enemy artillery. And this tutorial focuses on that latter choice, arty hunting. Now, there are some games where early on, as you make your initial spotting run or set up somewhere to passive spot, you'll catch sight of an enemy artillery moving off spawn to go to his setup location, and you're going to get to snipe him early on and get an easy kill. But those games are rare. And there's other games where sometimes the enemy artillery kind of goes crazy and comes straight toward your team, picking out a really bad setup spot and gets destroyed in the process. Those games are even more rare. Most of the time, if there's enemy artillery, if you want them dead at some point in the game, you're going to have to deliberately go seek them out and either passive spot while your team destroys them, or just do the glory yourself, gain the glory yourself, and kill them on your own. So, over my many thousand battles I've played, I've developed my own personal 6 rules for arty hunting, and I use them very effectively, and this is what we're going to talk about today. How effective are they? Well, on the North American server, I have more Pascucci medals than anybody else. The Pascucci medal is what you get for killing 3 arty in one battle. And right away, there's some of you going to say, hey, but wait, you've played thousands of battles more than anybody else, which is kind of true. I haven't played anywhere near the most, but I've played way more than most people. So that's a fair comment. But the thing is, if you look at frequency of obtaining the medal, how many battles does it take to get a Pascucci medal? I'm number 1 on the NA server in that as well. I get them more frequently than anybody else. And that's despite the fact that I had approximately 23,000 battles under my belt before they even introduced the medal to the game. So the odds are really stacked against me for me to be number 1 in that. So the point is, the rules that I've developed worked very well for me, and if you try them yourself, you'll probably find they work pretty well for you too. Here's what they are. I have them just split up into 2 different sets of 3. The first 3 rules deal with you infiltrating and getting to the enemy artillery, because let's face it, if you die along the way, you aren't going to get any dead arty. You're not going to have a chance to kill them. The second 3 deal with how to fight the artillery once you find them. So here we go. Rule number 1. Go where they ain't. Should seem obvious, but if sense were truly common, everyone would have it. Go where they ain't. Use your quick counts. Use your situational awareness and minimap, and when you decide to make the delayed rush to go find the enemy artillery, plot a route that avoids known locations of enemy tanks. The ultimate rush is one where the enemy has no idea where you're at until the first artillery dies. Be invisible. The second rule goes exactly along the same lines, but it's a little bit different. Go where they can't see you. It's not enough to just avoid the tanks that you know are on the map. Use your terrain, use your environmental resources to mask the movement of your tank. And that means use the long terrace that's out there, the hill, the seawall like in Stalingrad, or buildings, anything that can block the enemy vision of you. Use it along your way so that one unexpected tank out there isn't going to have a chance to see you. Again, strive to be invisible until you actually engage the artillery. Number 3, don't stop if you take 1 or 2 hits. Odds are, on some rushes, there's either going to be an unexpected tank along the way, or there's going to be some tank farther off that gets a small window of opportunity fire as you go by. If he shoots at you, even if he hits you, don't stop. If you've planned your route well, he's going to get maybe 1 or 2 shots at you, and then he's out of the equation. Keep going unless your tank takes some kind of critical damage that's going to prevent you from being able to perform farther down the route. Now, you have to use common sense here too. If you come around a hill or around a building and there's 3 or 4 enemy tanks there that you had no idea were there, and you know you're going to lose a firefight, beat feet, get out of dodge, and go hide somewhere. Get away. And then figure out something else to do in the fight. But for the most part, if you've planned your route well and you've used your situational awareness, the most any enemy's going to get to do is fire at you maybe once or twice along the route you take. Keep going. Don't let them psych you out. So, you've planned a good route. You're back amongst the arty. What do you do now? Rule number 4. Prioritize your targets based on who is the biggest threat at that moment. As you're approaching where you think the arty are, watch for tracers. Seeing a tracer round go off not only helps you pinpoint where you'll see the artillery, it lets you know which artillery has just fired, which is a huge advantage for you. Unless it's one of the rare autoloaders, an artillery that's just fired isn't a threat to you for a short period of time, so you can ignore them. If the artillery aren't faced at you, if they're faced the opposite way, they're low priority. They are no threat to you. It's the artillery that hasn't fired, or the artillery who hasn't fired and is pointed almost at you or at you. They are the threat you need to deal with immediately, because they are the ones that can shoot and kill you. It's something that's going to switch rapidly throughout your engagement, especially if there's multiple artillery. You have to keep track of who's fired, who's pointed which way, who has the best ability to kill me now. That's the tank you have to deal with first. Number 5. Use arty, dead or alive, as a shield from other threats. It doesn't matter if they're alive and moving, alive sitting still. If they're dead, use their big chunk of metal to help block you off from anybody else who can shoot you. And last but definitely not least, do not stop moving. It's one of the most common and most deadly mistakes people make when engaging artillery. I'm guilty of it as well, and I kick myself all the time for doing it because I know better. But yet I still do it because the attraction of stopping to get a nice, stable shot, especially on a tank with the 28, like the 2801, that has an inaccurate gun, you want to stop and set up your shot, but stopping is deadly. As long as you're moving, the odds of you surviving are high. You, even with the inaccurate gun, have a much greater chance of hitting your target on the move than artillery does. So keep them traversing their tank. Keep them having to adjust their aim. Keep their aim bloom high. Maximize your chance of surviving. Now there's 2 exceptions to that rule. One is the only tank that can shoot at you has just fired. If they've just fired and they're the only one pointed at you, you can stop, aim in really well, and kill the bastard before he reloads. If none of them are pointed at you, then they can't shoot you. You can stop, aim in, and take one out. Okay, so if you have 0 threat at the moment, stop. But normally in an engagement with multiple artillery, that isn't the case. You're always going to be threatened from one of them. So don't stop moving. It doesn't matter if you miss a shot or 2. your misses aren't as harmful to you as their misses are to them because they have to wait so long to reload. Keep moving, force them to miss, because then it increases the options of what you have to do. In this battle, you'll see me use a lot of these rules, and you'll see me get lucky because I end up in a bad situation and survive. But that's part of the game. There's 2 lights on each team, 3 artillery on each team, and a good mix of other tanks. It's pretty fairly evenly balanced game as we go here. So I'm going to start off moving over here to my standard initial spotting spot. I used to stay over here a lot longer than I do now, but with the way they changed the map, you just can't hang out over here as long as you used to be able to do because you don't have the same cover and concealment that you had before. And there's a better place to go later on, and you'll see as I play out the battle here. So I come up here to this rock and spot. The idea is I want to be able to look up here, and a lot of times you can catch an enemy scout up there. Now what this guy just did is bad, so I'm kind of backing into him and he gets the hit and moves on. There's a simple axiom for World of Tanks. 1 rock, 1 tank. If 2 tanks try to use the same rock, at some point you each have to back up to get out of enemy fire, and you hit each other and you can't get out of line of fire and you end up getting hurt or killed. 1 rock, 1 tank. If you break that rule, you're going to end up regretting it. So I get off 1 shot on a enemy tank and I'm off. Now I'm going to go down into the middle. Actually, I'm going to end up over where the Cromwell is and go up that ramp and peek a view from there. 2 enemy tanks dead, off to a good start. Now there's 2 ramps up in here, and I prefer this ramp over the other one because the other ramp is right here. When you use this ramp, you're exposing yourself to the tanks that hang out down here, and that's not a good thing. Whereas if you use the ramp I'm at, you have line of fire over here and you can come up and snipe them. The same time you're getting spots for your team, you can combine that with shooting enemy tanks far off in the distance, and that's just the ideal thing. Anytime you can combine scout roles, you're greatly increasing the value to your team. Now in a battle like this, you always need to be aware. There's 3 enemy artillery. If I'm spotted and sit still, I'm probably going to be dead. So you have to keep moving or rocking back and forth or doing something to throw off the artillery if they're going to try to take a shot at you. Here we have the AT-15A. I'm going to try to track him, and hopefully artillery can drop one on his head. I hit his tracks, but I don't get a crit. I wanted to hit really the front end of his tracks, and I hit the middle, but you can see right here, it's like I get a shot over here on that far corner, get a big hit, and I don't get spotted back. And if I do get spotted, I just back down the hill there and I'm fine. Now I'm going to get a kill shot. Ouch. And now I'm thinking, that center ought to be open. I'm thinking the scout's up in here. Turns out he's not, but there's the AFK heavy, and there's the T-21 up there. I don't know what he's doing. Kind of late to the party, and there's the E2. So I get a bad break right away and find 2 tanks as I start to pull forward. My first thought is I need to back up, but the T-21 shows no signs of even noticing or acknowledging that I'm here, and he continues off in the wrong direction, so I'm just going to press on. that heavy AFKer, he spots me, but I can't do anything about it. The E2 gets a shot, but like I said, keep going. Don't let one shot stop you. Now, as I come in, the GW Panther's pointed right at me. He is my threat. He's totally not a threat at all. Even though I'm aimed in on him, I saw him first. He's the guy I have to deal with, okay? I'm not going to take a shot on the move and hit him because I'm trying to get out of his ability to shoot at me right now. So my idea is to hide from him, kill him, because I need to get into a position where he can't fire at me. I take my first shot and do damage. I'm going to get up here and hopefully I can kill this other guy before anybody else gets to fight. Now, I know he's coming. And he's probably loaded because I doubt he's going to rush me if he's not ready to fire. Hummel's coming toward me as well. He's not quite aimed in on me. These two are the biggest threats. But I'm in a difficult spot right now because the GW Panther was waiting for me when I came. And my best option right now is to kill this guy and then hopefully squeeze by him. So I'm going to take another shot at him. And here's where I get lucky. He blows me up and doesn't quite kill me. I take a shot at him right away because most of the time if I hit a GW Panther, if I hit him right, he's one shot kill. So I'm thinking I have the easy kill on him. I'm going to kill him, hide behind him and kill him while the Hummel's still moving in. Because of where this tank is, he's not going to want to shoot at me because if he shoots this way, he has a high % chance of killing his own artillery. So right now, the Hummel is the biggest threat. The GW Panther's no threat at all, and he's no threat at all. He's tracked. He's not looking at me. I'm going to use him to shield myself from the Hummel. Hopefully have enough time to kill this guy, and then I'll figure out what to do with the Hummel. So I hide behind him. I'm going to keep him, move with him. And right now I'm thinking the Hummel's turning toward him. I'm going to shoot over the deck of this dude and shoot the Hummel. I still don't have to worry about the GW Panther. He has no way has he reloaded yet. This guy is probably reloaded, but he doesn't have a shot on me. But the S51 ends up doing me a huge favor right now. I'm getting ready to shoot the Hummel until the S51 does what he's about to do. And he gives me a get out of jail free card because he moves forward. And watch this. He's going to provide a moving cover for me right across the arc of the Hummel's gun. Watch. He moves forward, so I'm like, hey, I'll do that. I kill him as I go. The Hummel can't traverse fast enough and loses his shot. And now, while the Hummel traverses, I'm going to kill the GW Panther. Once again, I thought I'd get a one-shot kill on the GW Panther, and I didn't. The Hummel tried to shoot and missed because he shot while he was traversing. And now he's out of the equation. His gun's not loaded. He's no threat. I kill them all. So I got lucky with the GW Panther. But using the rules kept me alive. Now I get a free kill on this AFK guy. And as you can see, the biggest threat changes constantly. In a battle like that, every couple seconds, it's probably a different tank who is your current biggest threat, and you have to adjust your gameplay accordingly. Now, note that the rule doesn't say kill the biggest threat first, okay? It's prioritize the biggest threat and deal with them. Try to take them out, but if you have, even though the Hummel's pointed at me, I had the S51 to provide cover from him. So I was able to kill the S51 even though the Hummel was the biggest threat because I was using the F51 to shield myself from the threat the Hummel presented. I'm prioritizing my targets based on who's the biggest threat. I'm reducing the threat and continuing to damage the enemy while I do it. And that allows me to end up killing all three of them. I'm going to go in here and try to take out the E2. Then I get stupid as I do it. Not yet, but I do later. Because I know I have a good mission right now. I'm up to like 2,318 damage, and I don't think there's any hidden damage in there, so it's probably what it really is. I know I have a good mission, but I just want that last kill and get a top gun. And I get greedy. I shouldn't do it, but I do anyway. Because I know we're going to win the fight. I'm trying to get that 6th kill. He ends up screwing me over a little bit. We trade misses, and now we're going to trade hits, which isn't to my benefit. Ouch. I just blew a good mission. I probably would have had a Hall of Fame level score if I hadn't killed myself. Which basically I consider that killing myself. Because if I just would have stayed there and proxy spotted, the guy would have died and I would have been alive and gotten a better score. So, as this battle plays out, here's what I got for the battle. 2,304 XP, 7 spots, 1,811 spotting damage, 5 kills, 2,486 damage, a high caliber, and a Pascucci. And I get to demonstrate the rules of arty hunting along the way. And here they are again. Go where they ain't. Use your mini-map, use your SA, use your quick counts to plot a route that avoids known enemy locations when you infiltrate. Go where they can't see you. Use your terrain. Use the objects on the battlefield, buildings, walls, forests, trees, terraces, riverbeds, whatever. Use everything on the map possible to hide the movement of your tank as you infiltrate. Don't stop if you take 1 or 2 hits. Lots of times the enemy tank or 2 will get a small window of opportunity fire, and if they shoot at you and hit you, don't let that stop you. Keep going. Most of the time, once you move out of their sight, you also move out of their mind. 4. Prioritize targets based on whom's the biggest threat. Constantly changes, constantly reprioritize. 5. Use arty, dead or alive, as a shield from other threats. And you saw me do that with the S-51. It worked perfectly. It prevented the Hummel from getting a good shot at me. Number 6. Don't stop moving. Your ability to fire on the run is better than theirs. So put the odds in your favor and keep moving. And the 2 exceptions to that are, if the only tanks that are pointed at you have just fired, then you can stop and take a good stable shot. Or if they aren't pointed at you, then you can stop and take a good stable shot. And I guarantee you, if you follow those 6 rules of arty hunting, you will increase your productivity when you're shooting arties. You will get more arty kills. You will get more Pascuccis, Dumitrus, and Tamata Yoshios. And I might add, the medal for killing 3 arty that are 2 tiers higher than you, the Tamata Yoshio, I'm number 1 in the North American server in that as well. So, use the rules, practice them, and you will see they work. From Sand River Assault Defense in my 2801, beating up on artillery and getting a Pascucci. Happy hunting.